Hey, Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond sisters. Welcome to another show with Dona Rutowicz. And today we have Angie Bird with us. Hi, Angie. It's so good to see you. For those of you who are just joining the community or need a little reminder of what this community is all about, Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond, we are the most, what I would say, and Angie, I think you could agree with this, we're the most amazing women on the planet, where we are coming together to heal our soul fracture from divorce, to reclaim our heart, to recover our brilliance, and to truly step into life our way, right? To be able to redefine, rediscover, and transform from what could have been something that could have taken us down. We're using it as the stepping stone into this new version of our life. And Again, I'm Dona Rutowicz. I am a rapid transformational relationship coach, and I use my skills as a clinical psychotherapist that I kind of call myself a recovering psychotherapist over the years, really to help people move through this. And today we have Angie. Angie's a graduate of Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond. Yay. So Angie, why don't you just introduce yourself, let your sisters know who you are, what you do, and then we'll get into the conversation.
Yeah, it's funny. I knew you were going to say, introduce yourself. And I was thinking about it. And I'm like, I have all of the check boxes. I'm a mom and I have a full-time job and all of those things. And then I was really like, but really how I want to describe myself as a person who's like awakened from the check boxes. And, they're all a part of life that we have. But it's like I'm looking at life and living life in such a different way and more focused on my goals and my dreams. And so yeah, I am a mom and I work in marketing and technology, and I'm about to publish a children's book.
Yes, you are. I can't wait to do it. So when you publish this children's book, you have to come back into the feed and put it here so people can purchase it.
Yeah, I'm super excited. It's been one of the most fun projects that I've ever worked on.
So Angie, I just absolutely love what you said about, yes, I have all the check boxes, right? I'm a mom, I work, and what we say at Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond is we are not women, we are not divorced women. We're women who've been through divorce, right? It's something we experience. Our identity is not that. And I love how you're not tying yourself to boxes, because we're not.
Right.
We're not a box, right? There's so much more to us than this box. So what was your journey like? Kind of what brought you to DG? What was the work that you did, and kind of where you are now? Because I think your story could help so many women who are listening today.
Yeah, it was so funny. So,
and Angie, just not to interrupt you, I'm getting a little static on your end. I don't know if it's.
Does that help if I hold my phone different?
It's a little staticky, but I think we could work through it. So It's okay. Just keep going.
All right. Well, so I first met you, actually, I was, I don't know, late at night, I found a video popped up in my feed, and I was watching it and just hearing your experience and some insights that you had about divorce. And I was watching it and I was just inspired by what you said. And it, you had the option to schedule a call with you and just chat. And I'm like, okay, I'll schedule the call. And I remember thinking that I thought it was going to be this really big organization, and that the lady that was on the video was not going to be the lady on the call. And so I remember when I first logged in the call and it was you, I was like, oh, it's the—
oh my gosh, it's Dona. Yes.
On the video.
It's Dona. Yes.
And it was so funny. So I had just filed for divorce a few weeks before we actually chatted. So it was very fresh. And I still remember the day. It was September 22nd, 2020. Not
yes.
2000, 2020.
Yes, 2020.
Yeah, so September 22nd. It's like my personal anniversary now, and I love that. And, when I chatted with you, I just had such a connection, and such a difficult thing to go through, and then to have somebody understand it and to really, I don't know, there's just so many aspects of it, and I felt like I just connected with you really well, and that you really understood and you could really help, and it just gave me such a boost. And I was thinking about it just the other day, that actually in all of the things that I've ever done as far as like investing in myself or any purchases I've made, really.
Yep.
I was
Yep.
like, wow, this is like some of the best money I've ever spent because
Oh, Angie, I love to hear you say that, because I concur. I really do. When we invest like this, and to hear you say that is just bringing such joy to my heart, because there's so many women who investing in themselves is the reason why they don't get unstuck, right? Is because we're so used to investing in other people, or we're so used to looking at, debt as a bad thing. Now, I'm not saying debt is a bad thing, but there's a difference. I'm not saying debt is a good thing. Let me rephrase it. We don't want to be in debt, right? However, when we say, I am making this choice to invest in myself and I'm choosing to pay this off over time because it's my investment in myself, it's a beautiful thing, right? It's because it gives us our power back. And to hear you say it's your best investment, Angie, you're bringing tears to my heart, girl. And I could tell you for sure, and just before, because I can't wait to hear what you have to say, but just for everybody who's listening, Angie started, like you said, in 2020, right? That date was 2020. Where Angie is now it's just 2 short years, right? And you had transformation way before. You've been enjoying life way, way, way before this, but where you are today, oh my gosh, your life is night and day.
Yeah, I feel like a completely different person. I actually said the other day, I said, it took me a lot to get to the point of when the divorce happened, the change that it took to get to that place.
Yeah.
And then the change from there is like a monster leap. And then I said, you know what? And now I have like the bug inside of me where I know that I'm continually pushing and growing myself every day. And 2 years from now, I won't be the same anymore either. And
You're going to be, yeah, I love it. And you were just on, so just for everybody who's listening in, every month post graduation, I hold an alumni call, right? And it's just a special time for everybody who's graduated. And it enables us to sort of keep in the vein of the transformation, of the thoughts, of the connections. And Angie had some opportunities that she was looking at and exploring. And so many women, when we're stuck and we were in that place of fight or flight, we'll look at something and there'll be no opportunity, or we're going to look at the obstacles. And Angie comes to the call and is like, I have 3 or 4 opportunities in front of me. I don't know which one I want to choose. Right. And it's this abundance. And that's because you did the work, my friend.
That is fun. And I remember when I was first watching the video, I really didn't know what do the work meant. It's like, do the work. Like, what do I have to do? Like, what does do the work mean?
So let's talk about it. What does it mean now that you've done the course and you've done the program? What do you think do the work means? Or how could you explain it?
I mean, it is, and that's the great thing about what you do is you actually give practical things to do on a regular basis. So I think the first thing is the way that you have the education set up in the modules, like stepping through the beginning of how you're feeling and all of the emotions, and going through and practicing, thinking about forgiveness and the challenges associated with that, and gratitude and dreaming, and just all of these aspects of these building blocks. And you can't do them all at once, and you can't even see them all at once. And I think it's beautiful how you set it up from like the very beginning is a very intensity of emotion, and honoring what you're feeling and feeling it, and knowing that it's going to take time, and that it is these steps of every day you're going through a part of the process, and understanding what that process is, and your views of it. Your mind gets into a way that you see things happening, and you get kind of stuck into your view of how it happens. And I like to say, I like this view too, which is like, talking to you, for example, it's like you have this best friend who's supporting you, but can also kind of call out your BS in a nice way. Like,
wait a minute. I love you. And what you're feeling is true. And all of it, you deserve to feel it. And let's honor it. And let's cherish her, because that's a piece of you that deserves everything. But let's have you thought about this, right? Or let's look at it this way, or that may be there may be a whole nother way to look at it. Just calling us out on our bullshit, because our stories in our mind we create are sometimes really just that. They're just stories. There's no basis in truth whatsoever.
Yes. And the other part is listening in the group. When you participate in the group and you meet all of the women and kind of hear about their stories, sometimes you can listen to somebody's story and you can say, oh, yeah, I'm doing that. Or, oh, I identify with that. And
Yeah.
you can see it more clearly when it happens to somebody else, exactly what
Yes.
it's doing.
Yes.
And yeah, the emotion of it yourself is sometimes overwhelming that you can't really see clearly. And it's helpful to have that on the outside.
Angie, I love it because I think what we say here, right, as you'll hear me say this often, is we can't see the label through the jar. Right? Like
Right.
you just can't. And I think smart, intelligent women, and again, if we go back to the boxes that you check, right? You're smart, you're intelligent, you're a mom, you got a job, you got the dog, you got you got all the pieces of the puzzle, but we're so used to being able to figure things out. And I think that that's part of what really has given us the resilience to make it through such a life event that really could be a very tragic life event, right? Is we have that resilience. But in this particular work, when it comes to healing the heart, when it comes to reclaiming your brilliance, when it comes to really setting up and letting that emotion go of the past and creating a new blueprint and a new rule for how your brain wants to work, we can't do it alone. I think
For
the
sure.
community, right? Like you said, when you see it outside of yourself, when you see someone else in the group that's going through something or they're sharing something, you see it's like a reciprocity. You're like, oh my gosh, that's me. I totally see it now. And it's almost as if it's and you see this all the time, even in the alumni group, as one sister sort of moves through something and there's an understanding and a transformation, it's not uncommon for pretty much the whole group to, right, to move through the same transformation.
Yes, yes, for sure. And it's interesting. I mean, divorce is such, before I got divorced,
Yeah.
I never would have thought that I was going to get divorced. First of
Yeah.
all, I'd
Me
been married
too. Same
for,
boat.
yeah, more than 20 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then when you get divorced, there's so much that goes into that point and out of it and all of that. And what's interesting about it is having a perspective of somebody else helping you through what you're feeling and what you're going through. It brings ability to have a little bit more awareness to it. So instead of getting stuck in everything that's so difficult about it, it's really an opportunity to look at, like, how do I want my life to be? How was my life? Why did this happen? Like, what's my part of how that happened? And what do I want moving forward? And just having that view of this opportunity of, it's an ending, but it's also a beginning.
Yes.
And being able to make a vision of what you want that to be and to step through it and start living in that way, it really is like an opportunity to kind of reimagine your life. Even though it doesn't feel like that in the beginning.
No, and it doesn't. And I think that's the reason why, when going back to the way that I structure the modules, is we can't paint the house while the porch is on fire.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And someone could be 20 years post-divorce, could be 5 years post-divorce, could be almost, it doesn't matter. But when your brain is hyper focused and very vigilant on the hurt, it's going to function properly. And what I like to say is, congratulations, you're a human being. Like, your brain is supposed to work this way. Like, but here's the secret that no one is sharing with you, which is, just because your brain's working that way doesn't mean it serves you. And we get an opportunity, like you said, to really take our brain back and say, wait a minute, brain, here's how I want you to believe, right? Here's what I want you to think. And it's the opportunity to create something out of something that could have been a destruction, right? Yep. What were we going to say?
I was going to say, I remember when one of the stories that you very first told was about a woman who had, told you about her divorce, and it was like really intense and really traumatic. And it had been like 20 years ago. And it was like, she was talking about it like it happened yesterday.
Yep.
And I see that a lot, and I think about it, and I think about like how easy it is and difficult it is to get out of that moment.
Yep.
And how long that can last. And I'm like really thankful that I didn't think that I would come out of that feeling like I have. Like, I just I don't know. It's so intense. It's so hard to describe. And
it is hard to describe. I know. And this is the hard part
that
I really have a hard part trying to describe it, because it's almost like there's no words, right? It's because we're so consumed by the hurt and the pain and the grief. And what ends up happening is we think we're experiencing a certain emotion, or we think we have feelings in a certain way, but that's not the problem. It's only the symptom, right? And so we think we have to address X, Y, and Z, when really that's just the symptom. We really need to address A, B, and C. Right. Once we address A, B, and C, now X, Y, and Z they dissolve. And I think that's the best way I could explain it, Angie, is that these feelings, like you said, I didn't think I could feel this way, is that it's because as you were doing the internal work, as you were sort of, what I like to say, coming back to your divine self, your divine heart, your divine soul, right? Looking inside, becoming your own soulmate, becoming your own lover, right? Really, truly loving life and setting yourself up as the opportunity of what could be possible for me. The feelings that were so ominous in the past just dissolve.
Right.
They dissolve. And then it's like slowly you know, when there's a time where when you're waking up in the morning, all you're thinking about is the past and what went wrong and how hurt you were and what we lost and all of that, right? And maybe there's a little bit of the future or a little bit of the now. And then as you go through the program, and even post-program, as you continue to develop this muscle, what happens is more and more and more, we're now more in love with our future. We're more in love with hope. We see the opportunity that's made available to us, and we spend less and less time stuck in the past.
Right.
Yeah. And I love that you said that, Angie, is that you chose you. So you're not the woman that I'm going to speak to 10 years from now that's talking like she just had the divorce yesterday. Because like you said, you see it now. It's almost like we could become the observer, and there's no make wrong and there's no judgment of people. It really is just an observation. Like you really get to see just how much people attach to their stories. And it's not make wrong. It's just that if you don't do then, and again, the work, right? The internal work and being that you're writing a new book, right? Is getting rid of the old book and writing a new story. You'll be reading old chapters over and over and over again.
Yeah. You know, change and fear are really like a big part of it, and they're very real. Like I think it's very safe to do what you feel used to or comfortable in life.
Yes.
And whenever you get to the edge of something new, it's like your body or your mind tries to protect you. Like that's not the way that's supposed to work. I mean, it's a very real thing. And to go through change involves facing all kinds of things, and like a type of bravery and courage and a leap of faith that if, you know, I kind of think the more that you practice it, the easier it is to do that leap. But like the fears associated with all of everything that goes into changing your life and your family changing and divorce and all that kind of thing, it's very real. I mean, and it is helpful to like actually, I think a lot of times it's not talked about. There's a lot of things in life that aren't really talked about. Even sometimes with your close friends and family, you know, they might not know specific details about what happened. It's not always appropriate to bring up at Sunday dinner.
Yes, right, exactly. It's not, and the water cooler at work where people are starting to go the other direction at this point, you know? Yeah.
So I think it's very helpful. I mean, you have to be able to identify them, and like there's a reason why you feel those things, and it's okay. I mean, it's completely okay, normal to be scared of all of these new aspects that are going to be part of your life and these challenges. And I love how you say and you'll come up with the right phrasing of this too, but like these challenges, it's not a roadblock. Like it's not a
right. It's not a stumbling block. It's a stepping stone.
Right.
Yes.
And that we're going to have these challenges in our life every single day. And it's how we choose to participate.
And that's the gift though, right, Angie? Is in the past, we would look at these challenges as they're happening to us.
Right.
And we have to react to them. And it's just another thing to manage. And we have enough shit on our plate. Now we got to get something else more, right? It's like, oh, we got more stuff. Now when we truly understand it, we could look at them and say, okay, this doesn't feel good. I don't like this. I wish I wasn't experiencing this. If I could give this back to the universe, like, yes, I'll give it back to you. But if it's showing up in your life, and when you're aware enough and you're separate from the emotion and you could be your observer, you really realize that it's the opportunity that when we're, and I like how you use the word the edge, right? Is when you're getting close to the edge, and you know how we celebrate, we say your biggest breakdown normally comes before your biggest breakthrough. So most people, when they're in this fear state, or they're about to say like, oh, I can't do this anymore, this is too hard, or I'm going to quit. Most people do quit, and they give up 3 feet before gold. Where we know now that the breakdown doesn't necessarily feel so good, and it's perfectly normal to feel the fear, what we do is we keep moving forward because we know that breakdown, we're this close to our breakthrough. And I think that's the most important part about coaching in itself, is that we hold the container to, you have your sisters around you that are supporting you and holding your hand, and you could be trembling, you could be throwing up, you could be scared, you could be worried, but no one's going to let you quit. Right? Because you do not quit on yourself.
Yeah, I was a person who, I guess, tried to run away from what I was feeling, right? Like, I didn't want to feel bad. I just want to feel happy, and I want to feel good.
Yeah.
And so if I'm not feeling good, I'm feeling angry or sad, or, all these emotions, right? It would be kind of pushing them away and not really feeling them. And I got to this completely opposite place. And I love the way I describe this now, which is, my emotions are like my alert system to get my attention.
Yes.
And the more intense my emotion is, even if it's considered a traditionally negative emotion, the more intense it is means the more something is important to me. And I need to stop and look at, like, and honor why
they're messengers
to me. And why am I so angry, or why am I so in grief, or what, on all of those things I think are actually beautiful. And I actually wrote something yesterday about happiness, and how I Googled how many emotions are there. And there are Google says there's 34,000 emotions.
1,000 emotions. Yep.
Yeah. And I said, okay, well, so if I define my life by how much time I'm happy, is my life a success if I'm happy, 1/10 of the day? Is my life a success if I'm happy all day? And what about the other 33,999 emotions? Like, that's life, and that's experience, and we're all going to feel those. And it's actually really good when you can totally feel them, because then you know what's important to you and what you need to adjust in your life.
Yep. And I love how you use the word adjust, because that's all it is adjusting. It's, you're getting contrast, right? And I love how you also said what typically would be viewed as a negative emotion. An emotion isn't positive or negative. It just is. It's what the world has defined it to be.
Right. It's like sailing. It's like adjusting your sails.
And it's just adjusting your sails. And when you really could step out of the box of what I would say the conditions, patterns, beliefs, and behaviors, because so many of us grew up and are surrounded by there's really not the permission to feel the feelings. Get out, even through divorce, just get over it. You'll be fine. Oh, you're not over this yet. And like you said, people are not wanting to sit down at the Thanksgiving table and discuss heavy emotions, right? Like they just don't. And what will end up happening is, as you're experiencing your emotions, if it's making someone else uncomfortable, they're going to try to manage and control your emotions so they feel better. It's not about you feeling better. Right. They want you to be in the state that they want you to be in so they could feel better. Right. And so it becomes, when you realize just how much manipulation and control and patterns are in our society and the societal beliefs we hold, when we could just take a moment and not just blindly allow those emotions to take root, where we, like you said, you could actually cherish them. You could actually honor them. And actually say, wow, this is my messenger. I'm not going to make it right. I'm not going to make it wrong. It's just a messenger. What is it? And this is where the opportunity comes, because what is it about this messenger that's coming now? right? What's going on in my life? Where am I at an edge? Am I working through something? Is there something that I need to address? Is there something I'm not seeing? And when you realize it, and I think what's so nice is that once we clear out the what I would say the energetic vibrational frequency of chaos in our system, right, Angie? When we clear out that junk, when we get the clarity, those answers are divinely dropped into your heart. Do you experience that too? Like, right? That just, it's just like this divine drop in your heart that just is there, right? And
yeah, I know you know about my various signs, and it's
we
so
love
funny.
your signs. Yes, because we both, I mean, it's all about signs.
Yes, and I've had some very meaningful and profound signs. And before all this happened, if you would have, I don't know what my view of signs or higher power or connection in that way would have been, but it got to the point where I started having coincidences, and then so many coincidences happen that you just can't, they're not coincidences anymore, and they become these signs. And then you start to see and feel this guidance inside of you, and you realize all of the times in your life where you ignore your guidance. You're inside, you can hear it and you know it, but a lot of times you ignore it because this is my experience of how I did it. I had an expectation of what I'm supposed to do and what society says I'm supposed to do, and my obligations and my expectations. And then I have fears and, not wanting changes on top of it. And it keeps me in a little box, even though my little voice inside of me is really knowing what to do the entire time. And sometimes that gets so loud, it has to be like a bird slamming on your window in the middle of the day.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes that sign is the bird hitting the window.
Oh my gosh. Yes, for sure.
But it's true. It is when I say as a woman, right, we are, and this is not a religious thing. It's a what I would consider a science and an energetic frequency, is that we as human beings, we are 100% energy. We are made of energy, and your internal guidance system has never been taken away from you. It's never been taken away from us, but society, husbands, parents, teachers, bosses, just will tend to be able to hide it from you. And then we have all these should-haves, which, I always say, don't should on me, right? But no, I should, like, your guidance is going to say this, go this way. And then your brain's going to come in and say, but you really should do this, right? That you really should do that. You really should do that. And that's where we get into trouble, is because then we abandon ourselves.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that happens that's a protection also is this, I've started seeing this in other people first, and then I, saw it more myself, but kind of the mentality of when you're a victim and when it's very difficult to see your choice. Like, does the world happen to you? Is it happening to you and it's making your life miserable? All of these things that happen to you that make you miserable, or are you in charge of it? And I heard a quote that I really liked, which is, are you the driver or are you the passenger in your life? And I never really saw that as much as I see it now. And I see it in other people all of the time. Every single one of us has excuses that we make at certain times, why things have to be a certain way. And really, a lot of those are self-made and they don't really exist. And it's much safer to feel like a victim and that we're not accountable for what happens to us, when actually we're fully accountable for what happens to us, all of these circumstances and things that happen. And if I love this analogy too, which is, if I'm constantly looking outside of myself for validation of what I believe or what I experience or how my choices are going to be, I'm going to be miserable every single day, because I'm like the subject of whatever happens that day, instead of me stepping my life that I want it to be, the way that I want my experiences to go, and learning how to make those steps happen. Because it's not easy. It's like, we all revert.
Well, that's it. It's learning. You just said the keyword. It's learning how to do it. And it's, and it's deciding, because we here at Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond, and now we cultivate this, right? Like you and I wake up like this every single day, is we have decided how our day is going to be. This is life is going to be that I am happy because I decide to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
My outside circumstances are not going to impact my inside circumstances. And I'm going to cultivate it and I'm going to learn how to do that. And we have processes and tools, right, that enable you to learn really how to cultivate that internal guidance and that internal happiness. And what I like to say too is that going back to where you said we are accountable for our life, we are responsible for our life, and that what has been brought upon your plate, you don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to even say that there's not any justice that needs to be had for certain actions or things that had happened, right, with people in your life or things that have happened in your life. But what Angie and I are saying to you is that you have a choice not to argue with it anymore, right? And not to view it as this happened to you, that again, you don't have to agree with it, you don't have to like it, but now you get to say, okay, today, now I get to say, instead of arguing with it, instead of trying to figure it out, instead of trying to figure out how I'm going to get closure and how I'm going to make meaning and trying to get other people to hear your story and validate you and buy into it and all of that. And I'm not saying that's not nice. It would be great if your ex-husband says, oh my God, I understand now. And I'm so sorry for this. And I'm going, and here's the reasons why you get that closure. Guess what, guys? 99.9% of the time, that's not going to happen. So if you wait to get that from someone else, you will be left holding the bag literally through eternity. When you could get closure and you can move forward because you're deciding, I'm not arguing with my reality anymore. And today is the day that I take accountability and responsibility for my life because it's my opportunity to do so. And it's my opportunity to say, I don't even know how to do it. And I'm going to learn though. Right? I'm going to learn. And the question becomes why. It goes from why did this happen to me? And it moves to what can I do to get me to where I want to go?
Yeah. And I love the advice that you've given to me several times, many times, which is, it becomes one of the words I keep in my mind, which is to be curious, right?
Yes,
so
curiosity.
Whenever you get stuck somewhere, or you have something that's going on, it's like, wait, step back and be curious. Like, why am I feeling this? What is this about? Like, just take some time and be curious.
Right. Because again, here's the question that we say, like, I like, why did this happen to me? And what if my life doesn't, go to where I want it to go, where we could turn it to, what happens if for whatever reason, this was God allowed or universe or source, whatever you want to say, that this happened not to me, but for me. And that there's a whole reason why, if this was allowed to happen in my life, it means that there's something greater for me on the other side. So what happens if everything goes right for me? What happens if the future is the best of my life? What happens if I meet amazing people and I get the opportunity to travel the world and write a children's book and have a happy home and be so supportive and so loved and in a space of learning how this crap that I've been carrying maybe through lifetimes is this lifetime I get to leave it here. I get to leave the bag here and I do not have to carry it any longer. Like, what happens if that's possible? What happens if everything goes right? What happens if this is exactly what was supposed to happen because it's framing you for your soul journey of where you're supposed to be and just what's possible for you? But if you continue to argue with, you're not going anywhere. It's like on a rocking chair. You know how we say that, right? You could be on a rocking chair on a porch. You could be rocking all day long. You could think you're doing things, right? And you could be, rocking and rocking and rocking. But if you don't take action and inspired action, then you're not leaving the porch. Unless someone puts little rocket ships on the back of that freaking rocking chair, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, I don't think that I would be in the mindset that I am and have learned and gone through and have this perspective that I am in today had I not gone through the divorce. Like, I think that was something that had to happen for me to get to this place. And I love this line. My dad actually said this to me. He's like, if you think you're right, you're never going to look for the answer that would have showed you that you were wrong.
It's true. I like that, Angie. I'm going to steal that.
I know, and rocking on the front porch is really comfortable. It's really nice, and
It is.
it's like scary when you have to like build a hammock with out in the
Yes.
woods.
Yes, it is. It is scary. It is. And that's why DG is here, right? Is that it's you have people who could say, "Hey, listen, I got you. Let's go in the woods together." I'm going to, you have one sister who's watching the perimeter. You have another sister who's helping you, and we could break down and cry. We could be what we need to do, but then we're celebrating because our identity is not in that we are divorced women. Our identity is we have been a woman through divorce. Hear us roar. It is time for us to take our power back. The rest of our life could be the best of our life. We could step into hope, into curiosity, and we could use these messengers of emotion not as weapons towards our soul, but as messengers towards the evolution and the growth of where we're going. And we do get the opportunity to, again, leave the baggage here on this. We do not need the baggage anymore.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And now to see, so Angie, where you are now, you are really creating your life your way, right? And you're stepping into this journey of writing this children's book and, really kind of entering into this, what I would call your creative spirit has been ignited.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So what would you say to someone right now who's listening to us and who is, let's just say she's a few years post-divorce, she's good family, good friends. Let's say she checks the proverbial boxes, right? She's got a good family, she's got good friends, she's got her home, she's got work, she's all of the stuff, right? But it's the internal side that she needs guidance on. What would you tell her? What would you give her as, sort of Angie Bird's advice?
It was so funny. I got asked a similar question recently and I had answered it a certain way. And then I realized later that I was in the process of making a decision and I was struggling with it and I wasn't following my own advice. And so my advice to myself and at that moment was, I truly believe that what truly is passionate and exciting to us and those true dreams that you have inside of yourself, that a lot of times in life, I think that we tell ourselves is unrealistic, right? It's unrealistic for me to be an astronaut. It's unrealistic for me to ride a unicorn after work tonight. Like whatever it is that you're telling yourself, it's unrealistic, right? It's unrealistic for me to do a certain thing. I would say the reason why you have an excitement and a passion for something is because that's what you're supposed to be doing. And if you're denying that and pushing that away as unrealistic, I would challenge you to flip it and say, why am I saying it's unrealistic? Like, what do I think is unrealistic about it? Because I think that those things are the reason that we're here on life and we're supposed to be pursuing those.
I'm getting chills.
And
that's your gift, right? It's your gift to the world.
To be fun and excitement. And I'm not saying all of life is fun, but I'm saying there is supposed to be a passion to what you're doing here. And I believe 100% that you can do what you love as part of your life. And this thing that you just have to go to work and check these boxes and do this routine and that we're like these robots. That's not why we're here. We're not here to be robots.
That's the old story. The old story is the robot, people pleasing, critical self-talk, right? That's all been conditioned into us. It's not why we're here.
Yep. So think about, allow yourself, I would say, allow yourself to completely dream about what those things are that you're excited and passionate about with no filters on it. Don't filter on it. Think about when you're a little kid or what you would do for free and allow yourself to think about what those things really are. And then take a look at how much of those things are in your day every day. Do you even have a day where you do any of those things? And start asking yourself why that is.
Yep. I love it. And the curiosity, right? It's the curiosity and the adventure. And what I like to say, Angie, we get to become sort of the right? The archaeologists in our life we're discovering things and we're seeing things and we're not just taking, just blindly accepting belief patterns and systems anymore. Is that, and what you realize though, and I think, and again, I'm going to speak from my journey in coaching, and I'm going to speak hopefully on yours and the rest of the Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond sisters, is that when you step out and you do choose yourself, that the universe is there to support you, and that the resources come out of nowhere. Like literally, they just the questions that you needed answered, the friendships, the community, the finances, the discoveries, the little gifts of miracles and synchronicities, they really do, all of a sudden, it's like they've always been there, but we just never chose us. And when we really choose us, it's almost like we bring them into life.
For sure, because if you say it's not possible, it's surely not possible.
Right.
But if you view it as, well, how could this be possible? Then all of a sudden that changes it.
Yes, exactly. How could this be possible? Not that it can't. And it is knowing that you are the gift, right? Like in you. And I love that you said that, Angie, is that special gift that you have been given to share, because it brings you such joy. There's other people in this world that you were meant to bring that joy to, right? So your joy feeds that other person, which then inspires and ignites that other person, which then inspires and ignites that other person. And if you're waking up every single day and doing the robotic thing, going to work and just, coming home and just going to work and coming home and, trying to date and attracting all these people that may not be the right people for you. And it just becomes this cycle. Is, again, it's not right or wrong, but it's getting into curiosity and saying, is this my life? Is this really what I'm meant to do? Is this really what I'm meant to be experiencing? And then acknowledging that fear is a normal part of making any change. But as we say at DG, it's face everything and rise. Right? It's understanding that I don't know how to get to the other side, and what is it that I can do to get to the other side, right? And that's what we do here at DG, is that we take you from one side of the bridge, and we show you how to get over the bridge, and then we take you to the other side of the bridge. And then we get to live life like we're going on a retreat coming up. Yay!
I know. I get such this boost whenever I talk to you or whenever I participate in the group. And when I booked the trip, I just thought to myself, you know what? Every single time I do these interactions, I just feel amazing, and it comes into every part of my life.
Yes.
And I want to be there in person and give myself that kind of boost. And I was so excited that there's such a nice group coming. I mean, I'm just like, it's going to be awesome.
We have a total of 37 people coming, Angie.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. 37.
Yeah. I thought energy.
It's going to be amazing energy. And that's also part of life, is that divorce strips us from, we feel victimized. We feel crippled. We feel we've been lost. We become voyeurs into our husbands' lives. What are they doing? What is their life? They're living. And that's not going to serve anybody, right? It's like looking into a peephole in someone else's life is not a power position, right? The power position comes when, my gosh, I'm almost addicted to what someone else is doing, but I'm not doing that anymore. I'm making the choice to become addicted to myself. I'm making the choice that I'm going to love myself a little more today, and I'm going to focus on this. And we get to live life and enjoy. And that really is when you're together and you're just in the hive. It's this energetic. We do. I really know for a fact, right? And I wish we could take some data on this, but we do change. Energetically speaking, we change. Our neural pathways change. There's genes that will turn on, right? And there's genes that will turn off that we don't need, because we're part of this love, right? And this frequency. And so this is something you get to do as a DG sister, right? So you get to connect.
I've had so many people in my life say to me, who knew me before and during and after, and interact with me now, like, the different changes that they can see in me, and they point them out all the time in different ways. And actually, I want to put you on the spot for just a second. I had a friend ask me this question, and I've been thinking about it a little bit, about the difference between a coach and a therapist.
Ooh, okay. Yes.
Yeah. And I've been thinking about it, and it's very hard for me to quantify like an exact list, but I can tell you like a feeling that goes into it, a feeling for driving in my life that's a little bit different. Like when, for me, just the experience in therapy, there's a lot that you work on that's, very specific, and coaching is more about, for me, about really kind of pushing yourself outside of those areas and more
Yes.
of a building.
Yes.
But I'm curious your take on that question, because I've been thinking about it a lot, and I thought you'd love that question.
I do. I love that question. And I love it because, as you know, my years as a clinical psychotherapist, I still use a lot of the skills in the coaching arena, right? But what I would say is, so if we look at it in two ways, I'll tell you the difference, but I first want to frame it in the way of tools. Okay.
Okay.
So let's say I am a plumber, right? And I plumb, and if you need something to be plumbed, you come to Donna, I come, I fix it. It's done. But now I decide that I want to become a baker, right? And I go to France. I hire the best pastry chef because here we do not live good is not good enough. We are exceptional. We only go for the best, right? So we're going to France. We hire this pastry chef, and I'm taught how to become this pastry chef. But I show up in France in the pastry shop with all my plumbing tools.
Okay.
Right? For number one, you definitely do not want a cake made out of plumbing tools. Number one, because you don't know where they've been. But number two, they're not the right tool, right? But in plumbing, they're the right tool. They apply.
Right.
They're exactly what you need, but they don't apply to baking. And so therapy is a wonderful tool, and it applies in a really wonderful and supportive way to so many areas. But when it comes specifically to healing our hearts post-divorce, when it comes to when we're really looking to create our future and really build this new reality, because that's what we're doing, right? We're building a completely new reality. Is therapy no longer is the best tool for us, because therapy looks at where we've come from, where coaching looks at where we're going to.
Oh, I like that.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right. So therapy.
That's a quote for you that you're going to use
right?
moving forward.
I'll take it from a quote. So therapy in the standard sense is a really good tool when someone is caught off guard, right? Or they can't make sense out of something, or they have anxiety or depression, or they have a mental illness that they need support with. They need tools to learn how to manage that illness in order to be productive in society, right? In order to hold a job and to hold a family. Like therapy is really good, is good for that. And especially when someone's first going through a divorce. Let's say we have a woman who was a wonderful woman. She's married 25 years, comes home one day and finds her husband in bed with another woman, right? Like right there, the trauma that happens and the disconnect, and she just she's sad, and he tells her he's leaving her and he's taking everything. Like that's a traumatic event that's happening right there. Coaching is not appropriate because she needs to make sense of what's going on in the moment, right?
Yes.
And so what therapy though does is, every time when you think about, when you go to a therapist, you're talking about the problem. You're talking about what you don't want. You're talking about the pain. And what we know to be true about manifestation, about creation, and about this designing that we get to do in our life is, the more we talk, what we talk about is what we bring about. So if we're always looking at what we don't want, we're just creating more of what we don't want. Right? And therapy also is very limited, because this is what I will say to you. You'll say, okay, Donna, I'm going through blah, blah, blah. And I'll say to you, okay, Angie, what do you think about it? Right? And then you'll process, right? Because that's the point of the therapeutic environment. It could take years in some cases, right? Because what you're doing is you're discovering the parts of yourself. And so,
and now that I've done both, I mean, I would say that I needed both, right? I mean, they both play different roles.
They're both wonderful tools. You need both, but there comes a point where you grow out of therapy and you really need to be in the coaching is the appropriate tool, because now you're ready to put the rubber to the road. You already know, you already have awareness of what happened with the divorce. You already have awareness of what's going on. You don't need to talk about it anymore. Right? Like there's only so many times you need to talk about what your ex-husband is doing or is not doing, or what's happening or what's not happening, or who had the house, who took the spoon. Like it doesn't matter anymore, right? Like it just comes to the point where you're like, okay, I have enough data. Doesn't mean you have closure. Doesn't mean that there's things that aren't there, but you get to the point where you're like, okay, it's time for me to begin to create my future. I really want to now focus on where I'm going. That's where coaching comes in, because now when you say to me, okay, Donna, I'm going through this, this, and this, I could be like, Angie, that's bullshit. I'm going to call you out on your bullshit. Because is that really true? Right? Like I could just go right in love, right?
Right.
I will never push you farther than you could take. I will never come at you in a way that's wrong or bad, but I could there's a framework that I could say is like, hey, listen, I'm calling bullshit on bullshit. Let's put this on the table. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
And then I could say, okay, Angie, here's what I want you to do. I want you to do this, this, and this because I'm the guide. I already know how to get you to the other side. I could actually just tell you, take this step first, then do this, then do that, then do this. Okay, let's assess. Where are we? What worked? What didn't? Okay, this worked for you. Great. Let's do more of this. Didn't? Okay, great. Now let's do this. And so I could actually guide you and lead you, which is the key, I would say, the difference in coaching.
Yeah. You know, the pain of all of it is so intense and so real. And anyone who's listening to this, what I would say is like the greatest factor is just knowing that there's hope that like you're not going to feel this way every day, like for sure.
It's temporary.
And
it's
going
temporary.
going through the coaching like helps you figure out, you know, why you need to feel it, how to feel it, and how to step through it so that you're not in that place forever.
And I totally agree, Angie. And what I will say is, as you're listening to me and Angie, what you see here, this is the real us. Like there's nothing, this is just us. And if this style aligns with you, know that we could help you here at Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond. Like there's not a doubt, but we may not be the coaching community for everyone. My suggestion to anyone who is looking to truly build their life, and doesn't mean that your life is in shambles, right? You could have a good job, good friends, good family. It's this personal side and it's this heart side and this soul side that's ready to come out, is hire a coach, because this is something you cannot do alone. It is something you absolutely cannot do alone, where the 3 pieces that I have, and this is the reason why I have it structured this way, is the modules, because there's self-learning that you need to do. There's individual coaching, which is really important. And then there's the community coaching, right? And the sisters that are that important, because we learn things and you need to be part of this community. It's sort of like it takes a village. So my suggestion to anyone who's hiring and looking for coaching is hire the person who you align with, you like their methodology, you see their results, that they're honest coaches, that they are living the life or living a framework or a style of life that you could say, wow, I want that. Like she's done it. I want to do the same thing. And not someone telling you they've done it, but they haven't done it, right? They haven't actually walked the walk. And so find the coach that's going to do that. And what I will say is, do not even think twice about the investment. Do it. Like Angie said, it's whether it's Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond or another coach, because that's the first step of getting you out of the mediocrity and getting you out of that lack mindset and getting you out of the victim mindset, is when you actually put your investment on the line and you say, I choose me, I am doing this. This is where that's the first, actually, that's why our anniversary date is so important. Like you said, the anniversary of us, September 22nd, that anniversary date is so important, is because you drew the line in the sand. You no longer were operating at the value, I'm not worth it, or I'm less than. You're operating at the value, I am more than worth it. I may not know what that is yet. I may not know what my confidence level yet is. I may not know what my worth is, but I know that I am not willing to live the life I've been living, and that I am investing in myself, that I am showing the universe that I am worth this. Because what happens, the universe responds in kind. If you say, I want more money, and you go out and you find a penny, well, technically the universe just gave you more money. But is that what we're thinking? Probably not, right? Most people are thinking maybe add a couple of more zeros. And it's the same thing. Like, I will never say anything bad about free resources. I love free resources. I am a purveyor. I have a saying that says free is for me. I love free stuff. I go to the library. I'm listen to podcasts, I read books. I mean, there's all of that. But when it comes to this critical part of your life, you are worth too much, and trying to do it alone on free resources is only going to give you information. It's not going to give you the transformation. You've got to be willing to do again, going back, doing the work, learning, investing, challenging yourself, and choosing that community that supports you, whatever that community is. Again, whether it's Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond, or there's another coaching community, that's up to you, because you have to be the person who does the research and decides where's the best place for you. But my suggestion for you is, do not wait another day. Do not, I kind of say, we don't drown by falling in a puddle, we drown by staying in a puddle. Right? And don't be the woman in the puddle 20 years later. That's still in the puddle. You're too brilliant. There's too much in you that's meant to be lived, and you deserve to live an amazing life.
Yes.
And you and you deserve to be coming to the retreats with us.
I'm so
coming to Cabo.
I can't wait to actually meet you in person.
I know. I'm going to give you a nice big hug. I can't wait. And we're going to, I don't know if I haven't shared this with anyone yet, but I will share it, is my husband, Michael, is going to be coming with us, because he's going to be doing videos and pictures, because he's an AV guy and handling all the AV and tech stuff. So he's actually working the retreat. So it's going to be nice, because we're going to be able to have shared memories that we're going to have. So it's going to be cool.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I can't wait.
I know. I can't wait. All right. So we meant to speak a half an hour, but we spoke an hour, Angie. So
that's how it goes.
Thank you for sharing your lunch with us.
Yes, thank you.
But what I will say again is, for anybody who's listening to this, really take heart to what Angie said. Angie, I couldn't have shared, really, everything that you said is spot on. So wisdom filled, and taken from a person who's been where you are now to, again, cross the bridge. And now it's the cultivation of this new life that Angie is living. And that could be you too, because I've done it. Angie's done it. Our sisters in Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond have done it. There's no one who's listening to this who can't really live the life that they want. It's just committing to yourself and choosing and handling the fear. Like Angie said, fear is part of the process. It's okay. The problem when fear comes in, where it hurts us, is when it cripples us and it doesn't allow us to take action, right? Stepping into the courage, stepping into the bravery. And right below this Facebook Live event, there'll be a link to speak with me. So you could apply to speak with me. There's an application form that you will fill out. And I would say go ahead. And if you're ready to do the work, go ahead and fill it out. Get a spot on my calendar and we'll chat, right? If this is for you, great. If not, I'll direct you to where you should be. So with that said, Angie, any last minute things that you'd like to share with your sisters?
Definitely it's possible for you, and it never hurts to have a chat with Donna. Like, I mean, seriously, you even get 30 minutes of advice for your life, and totally I know that you would direct somebody, like you would say, no, I'm not a good fit for this, or yes, I am.
Yeah. So yeah, and I do. And I will say
that talk changed a lot in my life. And yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, because honestly, it's true. I have a blank sheet of paper. I literally have a blank sheet of paper, and it's not that what I look for in the person is, what is the best tool? Going back to the analogy of, going to the tool of being a plumber or a baker, sometimes women will come across my plate. They're not coaching ready yet, right? Therapy is going to be the best tool for them. And so that's where I'll guide them. Or maybe there's another tool, maybe there's something else. But when we chat, I'm going to just tell you honestly, what is the best tool for you? So thank you for saying that, because that's exactly what the call is about.
Yeah.
All right, girls. So thank you for joining me and for us and your sisters. And I just want to share this, because Stephanie wrote this. I think she might have left the call, but I wanted to put this on there. Stephanie's never been happier. Divorce was a blessing. I don't need to feel whole I don't need to feel whole being married. I love my independence and the choice to remain happy all day, every day, which is going back to what we said. It is our choice. We get to decide how we're showing up. So with that said, sending you so much kisses. And we are meeting with the travel agent and putting together the itinerary. We're almost finished. So by early May, we'll have the itinerary out for the retreat, and I can't wait to see you because it's coming up in, can you imagine? I mean, it's almost just 8 weeks away, I think. Yes, it's like, it's right around the corner. I can't wait.
I know.
All right. I'll see you later, Chickie. Have a great rest of the day. All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye.